All right, guys, we're going to welcome in Bobby Picardo. Bobby is homegrown from us right here in Monmouth County, a Middletown guy. Bobby went to Middletown South High School. He then went on to play baseball, graduate also from Catholic University, and then later became an assistant coach. And he is currently the associate head coach, the recruiting coordinator, and he also works in the athletic department, which we're going to talk a little bit about that and some campus life too. So we want to welcome Bobby in, as some of us know Bobby for quite so many years, a long time. And Bobby's done a great job of recruiting Monmouth County players, where there are a few of them on the Catholic University roster right now. So Bobby, thank you and welcome, and join us right now, buddy.
It feels like I'm back home. It's really special. I've known Jay and Brian for 25 years. I mean, I'm 32 years old right now, and I was 7 years old when I first met these two guys. And the baseball seams guys are what tie us all together. It's still the greatest game in the world. And one of my favorite things is baseball guys don't forget a thing. It's because of all the downtime we have in between pitches. You talk to the first baseman, you talk to the shortstop, you talk to the third base coach when you're playing against them, you talk to another coach when they're waiting to play after you. You never know who you're going to run into, but some of the best relationships that you're ever going to make are the ones from back home. You guys are going to go off to different places. Even the 7th and 8th graders, guys, it's going to be different when you're playing against some of these guys in a couple of years. But for the high school guys looking to play at the next level, the relationships you make now, you're going to be talking to some of these guys 25 years from now. I'm sorry, but there's no other game quite like it.
There is no other game quite like it. And, you know, many facets go into this game where you become somebody who really knows how to appreciate other people. I think that's an important point where, you really find coaches who actually care about you. And, players have a habit of gravitating to those type of coaches, Bobby, tell us a little bit about, we understand you obviously are an assistant baseball coach, the associate head coach. So, hopefully someday that's your goal. That's where you're going to be as a head coach in college baseball. But talk a little bit about Catholic University and, where it's located, some of campus life and those kind of things.
So Catholic University is located here in Washington, D.C. We're a Division III school, which for any of the guys on here, what is important to know about Division III is there's no athletic scholarship. And so what that means for me as a recruiter and a coach is I'm looking for true student athletes, because regardless of how hard you throw and how far you hit the ball, the only money that's going to come from your interest in Catholic University is how well you do in the classroom. So the first question I always ask a coach like BK or Jay is, what are his grades like? And for me, that means what's his GPA and how is he doing in his core classes, because we're a school that is test optional. The SAT and the ACT can only help you. So I really want to know, is this student athlete pushing himself in AP courses, or is he taking all the layups he can possibly take to pad his GPA? And there's nothing wrong with padding your GPA towards the end of your high school career, but I'd rather see someone getting a B to a B+ in an AP than getting an A in multiple different types of gym, as much fun as that can be. That's how things are being weighed now. And with the current pandemic, a lot of colleges are going to start to go test optional. So my biggest advice on the school side for you guys is going to be challenge yourselves academically. Catholic University, obviously with the name, we're the official university of the church in America here, founded in 1887. By Pope Leo. We've had 3 papal visits in my time here, which has been really exciting. But you don't have to be Catholic to go there. I tell everyone all the time, best second baseman, best pitcher in program history are both Jewish, who came here to study architecture and engineering. It is a private school, but in no way is it a prerequisite to be Catholic. Obviously, we do have a tremendous relationship with a lot of the Catholic high schools. But really what I'm looking for is I'm looking for ball players. I'm looking for a lot of our guys are multi-position guys that come in, and we figure it out from there. A lot of two-way guys, because again, at the Division III level, you have the opportunity, sometimes more than the Division I level, to do both. So we got a lot of guys who pitch. They're probably they're number 2 in their rotation at their high school team, but they're also hitting the top 5 spots of their order. And we're going to figure it out. I've had players who for 2 years barely saw playing time as a hitter and pitched. And then their next 2 years, they wound up being a first baseman or an outfielder for us and pitching a little bit less. So in the recruiting process for us at Catholic, we're looking for good students and baseball players. It's one of the best adjectives to describe someone right now is I want to hear from someone. He's a baseball player. He's someone that can play 3 positions because, guys, I know everyone's going to talk to you about play multiple sports, play multiple sports. For many of you, play multiple positions. Because when I go to camps and clinics and showcases and there are guys that don't run out to the outfield because they're scheduled to only play the infield, guys, my best infielders need to be able to play the outfield if I want to move them out there. My best catcher needs to be able to do something else. So along with continuing playing other sports, play other positions. I know the lefties, myself included, are hamstrung. I still think I'm a first baseman, but I'm not. I had coaches at a very young age, regardless of how much I love Don Mattingly. He was the Yankee first baseman before Tino Martinez, Jason Giambi, Mark Teixeira. I wanted to be Don Mattingly. So the compromise my father made with me is he got me a first baseman's glove, but he told me he was never going to hit me ground balls at first base or throw to me at first base. He made me go play the outfield. That's the best thing he ever did for me.
That's great, Bob. And, you know, obviously Brian and I remember you from back then, from most of those years. And, you know, you're a center fielder at heart. That's who you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, lefty, go get the ball. Let's get on base. You know, and you had success in college baseball. You know, tell us why Catholic University for you was the right choice. You know, everyone's trying to make the right choice, and how would they know? And, you know, how baseball related was it versus academic?
In the early 2000s, I wanted to study politics. I wanted to be the next mayor, next governor. I wanted to be in Congress. I really did. I was super interested in the politics, so that helped. I wanted to look at good schools with political science programs. So Washington, D.C. was an obvious fit. I was an active member of St. Agnes Parish in Atlantic Highlands. So it hit on a lot of different levels. And I'll be honest, Coach Kernan had a hitter by the name of Billy Rue. And Billy Rue gave Brian a shirt that says Catholic University Baseball. And I remember seeing that. So as the high school process went on, and guys, when I tell you about the relationship Brian and I have, how many of you right now would hit with the opposing coach of your biggest rival? Brian was the head coach at Middletown North, and I was the starting center fielder for Middletown South. And my best seasons were when I spent my off season training with Brian. But I remembered Brian knowing something about Catholic University. And when I got done and I made my list, and guys, what you want to study is as important now more than ever. So I'm not asking you to figure out what you want to study in college right now, because I'll get to that in a second. I changed majors 3 times in college. But start to get an idea of what you like to study, because that's really what you're going to want to do, is what you like to read about, what you like to learn about. But with Catholic, it had a great political science program. It had very competitive baseball at the Division III level, which, guys, I had a very rude awakening my junior year. I had a very good sophomore year for Coach Antonucci at Middletown South, and I struggled my junior year. My junior year, I got stubborn. I used a heavier bat. I didn't bunt as much. I tried to be a player I wasn't, and I hit under 300, and it was a rude awakening. So for me, it took conversations with Legion coaches, with Brian, with others, that Division III was probably going to be the best fit for me. So it came down to finding a place that would do both. And for me, it was Catholic U, Washington and Lee, and the College of New Jersey. And after meeting with coaches, getting the right information from each coach, and then visiting all 3 places, really solidified that I love the city environment that we have. We have a 180-acre campus of green, but we're still located in Washington, D.C., 3 metro stops from the capital. So we have a little bit of both here. So for guys that want that college campus, we have that as well as the city. Whereas TCNJ to me was very close to home. My best friend and Middletown South teammate, Danny Anderson, who wound up being an all-NJAC pitcher, went there. So that would have been the easiest fit for me, but I wanted to get away from home a little bit. And I'll be honest about Washington and Lee, and I have a tremendous relationship with W&L. I didn't like the way the farm smelled. And W&L is in Lexington, Virginia, and smelled like a farm. I remember getting out of my parents' Honda Pilot and saying, probably not for me. Great school, incredible law school, but Catholic was that right fit of campus, what I was looking to study, and important, not most important, because it can't just be baseball. As much as baseball guys like us want to be all baseball all the time, you have to find that right fit, and that means getting out of the car, not just at the field. I can't tell you how many kids I ask, oh, where'd you visit? And they tell me these amazing SEC schools where they've played tournaments. Hey, did you see the library there? I love, because of how many guys go to Duke and North Carolina in the summer to play in tournaments. I'll ask them, oh, did you check out the fountain at Chapel Hill? And they haven't, because all they've done is play on the field. But guys, you have to find the place that you're going to be okay with waking up at 6:30 in the morning for a team lift. It's not just the field as much as we want it to be. Now more than ever, every single person on this phone call, if they said Mars is open to play baseball, someone's going to try and get there to play because we want to play. But where are you going to go if a pandemic hit? Are you still going to be happy there? And I can tell you from all the Zoom calls we do with our guys, every Saturday when we were supposed to play, we've broken it up by class to keep it to about 10 guys per grade. But the last 4 Saturdays, we've gotten together on Zoom to just talk because we miss the game so much. But that's one of the things that our guys look for, is they look for a place where they would be still happy to go even in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, you touched on something that's so true with, tournament play, and especially the sophomore and junior in their summers, that they go to some different states and they play in some of these tournaments. And, I just did it this past fall and summer locally with some Pennsylvania schools, some New Jersey locations, but, that they don't make, they may not have the knowledge enough to go do that. Like what you were saying, like it's for me, it's on me. It's on the travel coaches that are with them in the summer to tell them and their parents, like, make sure you walk around campus, go see the school. While we're here on the weekend and we're staying at a hotel, what places are local that you can go? It may not even be that same college that you're at. There may be one or two locally to that college where they can get over and see those places,
And don't reach out. And make sure you reach out to schools in those areas, because one of the biggest things that happens down here is when George Washington and Georgetown host camps and clinics, I'm going to be over there. And if I can't be over there, it doesn't mean that if someone tells me they're going to be in town playing at GW for 2 days, if I'm available maybe the day before or after their first game, come on over to campus and check it out. Take advantage of this incredible travel baseball world. I mean, I played American Legion. That was it. Super 17 debuted my senior year. I was a hired gun playing for a team out of Monsignor Donovan with like 6 different high schools, playing against 4 future Farrah Builder, everything, Corey Young, Keith Cantwell, Vin Mazzara, Rick Porcello. That's who we faced in one weekend. So travel ball has exploded. Take advantage of it, guys. It's never been easier to get exposure. And when you're playing in an organization like you are, coach is going to give you the schedule and talk to your coaches. Hey, coach, do you think I can get over to Millersville while we're playing at this tournament in Lancaster, Pennsylvania? Hey, the coach from FDU mentioned that he can't make the game, but can I get over there? Yeah, the way rosters are, if someone had to leave in the 7th inning to make sure they were able to meet with a college coach, you're playing for guys that want to see you foster these relationships with college coaches.
Bobby, let us know a little bit about campus life. You're part of that, with the athletics, and what your role is. And that's something else for guys. The difference in Division 1, 2, and 3 for the guys out there, I mean, just on a school, obviously the total amount of team sports they have, it's not necessarily the level of play, the talent. It's not that at all. Competition is competition. You create competition no matter where you are, especially if you're in a really good baseball program. You're going to have competition, and if you play in a tough conference, you're going to have competition. But then there's life around baseball, on that campus. Talk a little bit about that.
So Division 1, Division 3, and I apologize not being as familiar with Division 2 or junior college, but with Division 3, you can play 56 games. Division 1, you can play 40 games. Right there, that's a lot of time difference. And then further, in Division 1, you wind up with individual workouts with your coaches. In Division 3, you get a fall season of 4 days a week for 4 weeks. So right there, you have a ton of time to do other things on campus. For the majority of our student athletes, it actually means working a job on campus. Over half the baseball team has a job, whether it's be working at the fitness center, the weight room, or working for other teams in our department as managers, camera people, ball people, working the scoreboard, working the shot clock, pushing a mop at basketball games. Because what we find is Division III athletes, again, non-scholarship, love being around the athletic center as much as possible. And when you're in a position like mine where I get to hire student workers, who do you think I'm going to hire? I'm going to hire other athletes. But our campus life is led by some very dedicated people who, because of our location, are very interested in things like politics, religion, and music. We have a tremendous music school, so there's always a performance going on the weekends where you have the opportunity after a game, after a practice, after an inter squad, to get to something on our campus. Again, I like to think of DC, the nation's capital, as our campus. So there's always a monument tour to go on. There's always something to go check out. It can be a little distracting at times even. But I also like to think of your campus extends to what town you're in and where you go to school. And again, with Division III, just in terms of games and practices and off season alone, you have more time to do that. But I will tell you, how you spend that free time is going to directly affect how you do on the ball field, because the biggest adjustment high school seniors to college freshmen have to make is that instead of going to school from 7:30 to 2:30 and having practice at 2:45 and then going home and having dinner and doing homework, you could be done class for the day on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 11 a.m. and we don't have practice till 4. What are you doing in that time to separate yourself from the guy you're competing against? And you touched on competition before. If you don't expect to have a guy to your left or a guy to your right that can do exactly what you do, you're in the wrong sport. This is a sport where we as coaches constantly have to have depth because of arm injuries are more prevalent than ever before. So it's very easy for any position to go down via an arm injury, where we have to have depth and we have to win ball games. And that means pushing a lot of buttons and understanding a role. So what are you doing between 11 and 3:30 to help? Are you going to eat right? Are you going to get a little homework done before 4 o'clock? That is a big thing in our program. Is we have a spreadsheet that has 1 hour a day prior to practice that you're going to do independent study. I don't need to bring everybody together for a study hall. We do have one, but I don't need to bring everybody together. Different guys taking different classes, but you owe me 1 hour prior to 4 o'clock where you're doing homework. So if I call you and I hear the show in the background, and I'll know, if I call you and hear multiple people, I know you're not doing that independent study. But if we can get 1 hour of homework done prior to practice, that's one more hour you have to be boys after practice. Because the thing I missed most about college was the shared downtime after. Ball rats, we don't leave the field. When you get to college, you don't leave the dining hall. You hang out in the dining hall so much because it's all you can eat. It's great. But we were in the dining hall for hours. But I don't want to get back from the dining hall and have to do a ton of homework. So one of the things I wish I would have had as a player was a better strategy. So when I took this role, I was very fortunate to be able to work with kids similar to who I was when I was their age and say, okay, let's work on the things that if I could do over again, I'd do.
Bobby, you touched a little bit on homework, and for me, I know in Division I they have mandatory study hall, and their schedule is 56 games in Division I before playoffs, conference play, regionals if they get that far. And you guys, the regular schedule for Division III is 40 games,
yep.
Right? So, and also in the fall, there's a limited amount of days you can spend, right?
16.
How many days? 16 practice days with
Correct.
The team. Right.
15 of those are practices for us, and we play the Naval Academy on that 16th day. It's been a strategy of ours to try and play a Division I team every year to really test ourselves. And who better than the Naval Academy, one of the better teams in the Patriot League every single season. And I tell this to all of our players, I hope they kick our butts. I've had a couple of years where we've beaten them or we've split a doubleheader, and our guys go into the off season and they feel pretty good. This game humbles you, and I don't mind it when the Patriot League champions humble us a little bit. But it also tells us what we've got to work on. And with each year, there's more film from those games where we're able to sit with guys and say, this is a team who is going to compete at the highest levels of Division I, and you did this well and you did this poorly. What do we have to focus on? And then at Division III, what that means with that only 16 days is you're on your own in so many ways. On the baseball side, you're going to rely on your captains and your leaders. On the strength and conditioning side, as long as you're one of your coaches, it has a strength and conditioning certification, they can work with you weight room and on the track or on a field, but not throw you BP, not hit you fungo, and not stand behind Rapsodo or stand with a radar gun and tell you how you're doing. So what we always look for, and I said this before about baseball players, I need guys that if I ask them to run their own practice, can do it.
Yeah. Self-coaching, run your own practice and be able to, go out there and the old term, the sandlot,
right,
came from that, academic advisors. That's something new, for our guys on the call, especially the high school guys. They have a guidance counselor. And of course, colleges have counselors to help set up your degree program. But what's an academic advisor for an athletic sports team?
We're really fortunate here in that your academic advisor not only is going to help you on the academic side, they're also helping with the career side. Your academic advisor is going to go through you on what courses you have to take to complete your major. We're very fortunate now to have a career and academic advisor so that person is your go-to, similar to a high school guidance counselor helping you with colleges, but this person's helping you time manage. And that's going to be the term every coach is going to use in every one of these talks, and they should, because as I mentioned before, time management, what you're doing 11 to 4, what you're doing 7 to 9. Don't worry about 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. I got that covered. But what are you doing 7 to 9, 11 to 4? And that's where your academic advisor is going to come in handy. We work with them to build study hall, to build schedules, to communicate with. That is one of the more important people you will have in your maturation through college, because that's going to be the person is going to be your academic coach. It's the same thing as having, I say it all the time for those of you considering tutors during high school or at the end of middle school or during middle school to improve your scores if you're applying to high schools. Think of it the way you would playing travel ball, working with a hitting instructor, working with a pitching coach. That is your reps to work on that thing. Those are great investments. We talk to guys all the time that want to take an SAT, even though we're test optional, to improve their academic merit. The first thing I always recommend is an SAT tutor. Oh, well, I don't need that. I got a 1400 already. Take a shot. We super score school. The best schools in the country take a look at both scores. So look at your tutors now as an academic advisor. But at the college level, they're your academic coach. They're going to give you the tools. The way we're going to work on your swing, they're going to work on your how are we note taking? Where are we trying to find the best place to study? That's another thing that freshmen tend to struggle with. You're sharing a room with someone you've now got to know through the recruiting process for about a year. I mean, our roommates, our commits wind up talking to each other 6 months out, and they know each other pretty well. But that doesn't necessarily mean you like to do homework at the same time. It doesn't really mean one of you might like to stay out a little later than the other. Your academic advisor and your assistant coaches and your head coach are going to find out where and how you like to study, because, again, you don't have mom and dad yelling across the kitchen, living room, upstairs, downstairs to do your homework. It's up to you.
I'm going to give one of our guys the mic. Billy, if you could turn on Vinny. A couple of the guys have some questions.
Great.
And this one's going to be a little bit about, recruiting, when you go out and see guys and what you're looking for. So, Vinny, if you're unmuted, go ahead, Vinny.
For pitches, do you look for a velocity or more for control?
You have to have both. I'm not going to use names about current players, but I have one arm right now who's 85 to 88, but can't locate in an inter squad. So how can I ever put him out on the field? That said, hitting has improved drastically. So there are some numbers we will look at. Our right-handed pitchers right now at the Division III level, and we're fortunate to have a pretty strong program. Our right-handed pitchers right now are between 83 and 87. Our lefties are between 78 and 82. Anyone throwing a little hard in 82 on the left side is going to be coveted by some larger schools, but that doesn't mean that we've had left-handers throw harder. 2 years ago, we graduated the best arm in program history who was up to 93, 94. They need to be able to control the baseball. We're seeing that more and more, guys that throw really hard and can't locate. If you ask me, do I want a righty that throws 80 to 83 and locates, or do I want a guy 85 to 87? With the amount of arm injuries and the lack of time I necessarily have to work with guys. Again, 16 days in the fall. If this pitcher is too much of a project where they're not locating and putting guys on, I need someone that can locate. I really do. But there are certain numbers that we've seen get hit really hard at our level, and we'll usually weigh that in significantly.
Vinny, good for you, Vin? Good answer?
Yes, thank you.
Good. Bobby, that's something that is out there right now. And, for me, you talked before about Brian and I, we go way back with you, but something for me, those numbers that guide. So, if you say a lefty 78 to 82, and, we keep in mind, we're talking about whatever institution it might be, whatever college or university that he is accepted to get in there. So first the academics come in, he's got to be able to get in there. Then comes obviously, is he going to fit in? Is he going to fit in our culture? Is it the right type of guy for us? Okay. And obviously the lefty 78 to 82 or the righty 83 to 86, they got to be able to get outs. That's the number one thing is getting it out. Offensively, the number one thing is just to get on base, get the first, right? Pitchers got to get outs. So, that's something there that is important for a lot of these guys on this call. I really feel this way, and for a long, long time I felt this way, that, even if we just took Monmouth County, Monmouth County really well on both sides. Growing up here, Bobby, playing sports here, being a baseball player at Middletown South High School, moving on to play college baseball and becoming a college coach, and recruiting Jersey Shore players, and having a bunch of them have gone through Catholic University's baseball program. So with all that said that I just rolled into there, for me, it's really, you look at Division III baseball, Division II in our Northeast area, there aren't a lot of schools. There are Division III, baseball programs, Division II, baseball programs, but you include all three, 1, 2, and 3. Division III has a lot more opportunities for guys. There's a lot more opportunities. And when you look at the big numbers, the majority of the guys in a normal high school program, travel organization, or if they get an opportunity to play college baseball, it seems to me more so, and I don't believe this has changed in 25 years, more numbers are going to end up in Division III.
Absolutely. And you guys are in a Division III rich environment, and as much as it pains me because I lose to a lot of really good New Jersey Division IIIs in recruiting, go out. Once this all clears, go out and watch some college baseball, guys. You've got some of the better Division III programs in the history of college baseball are in your backyard. And again, I hate recruiting against them, but they are. So go out and watch them, because you'll be able to look at yourself and say, yeah, I'm as good as that guy. Nope, I'm definitely not as good as that guy. One of my favorite compliments that you can give a player at our level is when a high school kid goes and watches them and says, wait, that guy's a Division III baseball player? If you look at Jay, you had some Kane teams that would win the Northeast Conference. And I challenge someone to go player for player, but the NJAC has produced Division III teams that would do very well at Division I. And on the Division II side, it's less scholarships, but don't discount Division II. Again, you could go watch Felician on the weekend and look at how many guys have put on put on professional baseball hats after going through that program. And that's not just because I played for the Langens in high school and college, in the summers. You're a baseball-rich state that if you look at our roster, you can see where and how I recruit. But where do you think I'm going to recruit guys? I'm from Monmouth County. I'm going to recruit Monmouth County guys because of development. The biggest thing that we look for a guy that's close to being offered is, do we think this player can get better because of his makeup? And again, the best hitter in our program history sat the bench at Don Bosco in North Jersey for 3 years. But we looked at his tools, we looked at his makeup, and we said, there's a really good chance that this guy can play for us. Didn't play for us for 2 years, sat the bench for 2 years, and his junior and senior year, he continued that development and broke every record we had. You have to, what we want to see from you is, just because I see you one time at an indoor hitting event and you don't do very well, doesn't mean I'm never going to look at you again. Yeah, I'll have notes from that event, but I want to see you in game. And when I see you in game, did he get better from the last time I talked to him? Or if you show interest in our program and reach out and give me some of your numbers, and I say, hey, listen, this is what our pitchers throw, this is what we're looking at, or if I look at film and we do this, we're going to say, hey, this is something we'd like to see you work on. Did you work on that? So a lot of times you guys are going to get crushed with the 60-yard dash. And as a 7.3, 7.4 runner then, which was too slow for Division I guys burn. They really, really run. And not every program uses it as a filter, but the majority do. What I like to see for in the 60 is guys improving their times. I'm not going to ask a catcher who can really hit that runs a 7.8, and there are plenty out there. I'm not going to ask him to run a 7, but show me you're willing to work on the stuff that no one likes to work on and run a 7.6 or a 7.5 the next time I see you.
So much for these guys to learn by this kind of call. You know, these kind of sessions for us has just been so knowledgeable for them at an early age. You know, we have over 35, we have probably 35 players on this call right now from various aides and grades, middle school through high school. And, you know, just being able to hear from coaches and players. We usually have a Friday call with a active pro player in Major League Baseball or AAA. And the younger guys, I've had D1 coaches on with the 7th and 8th graders. And, you know, it really is something for them to understand that there's a lot more that goes into this than they're just the kid who in their school hits the ball the hardest. So what? You hit the ball further than anybody else. I mean, that's not the only reason why you're going to hopefully get a chance to play somewhere in college baseball, because you believe you're just, you know, the guy who can hit harder than everybody or throw the hardest, as we talked about before, with guys who throw the ball hard and don't locate, you know. And I mean, fortunately for me, I've had a chance to coach a lot of different age levels, you know, and 10 really good years at Rutgers, a year at Seton Hall, you know, a year at Kane, or you know, and being around Bloomfield College, being around Coach Johnson, who's been the head coach at Brookdale for a long time. You know, seeing a lot of different hitters, a lot of different baseball players in all those years, and you know, there are many examples of guys who got outworked. You know, you know, it came easy to them when they were a little bit younger, when they were 15 and 16, but then they got outworked. You know, and the size of an athlete, you know, sometimes doesn't mean anything at all.
Right.
That the smaller guy isn't going to just bust his ass and play harder than you. You know, like that's it for a lot of these guys. And this is a great group. You know, like you got a chance to meet some of these guys 2 years ago. They were in the hitting camp we've done, and you know, we'll see you again probably this winter, obviously this summer. You know, on the recruiting trail. Now that our oldest group is ready to go once we get back on the field in the summer. And we have a couple of Middletown South, a couple of your where you went, you know, you're an alumni of South. We got a few of those guys there. And, you know, I know they're all excited. You know, I'm excited for Crystal Moore to be getting going at Middletown South. You know, it's something he's wanted for a long time to be the head coach and be the head coach there. I know, you know, but there are so many good coaches, and I'm going into the development side that that you talked about, knowing the makeup and knowing where they came from, you know, in the Jersey Shore and Monmouth County, we have so many guys who want to teach and have passion for it, you know, and, you know, guys like Brian and I are getting old now. So hopefully there's a lot of young guys who are really, you know, working as hard as they do. I know how proud we are of you, you know, we all are proud of you, Bobby, what you've accomplished, and you got a lot more to accomplish. I'm gonna go to one of our other guys too. You go ahead and talk, and I'm gonna tell Billy to unmute Matt Pontari. Matt's gonna get on Middletown South class of 2021. But go ahead, Bobby.
Awesome. You want Matt to ask? Matt's got a question. Matt can go first.
Yeah, Billy, unmute Matt if you can. There he is.
So the question I had was what's the number one characteristic that you look for in a player academically or athletically?
All right. So on the academic side, do they have good grades? That is the first question I'll ask Jay. Jay, what are his grades like? And that ties into how much academic scholarship they're going to get to make school affordable. And on the baseball side, where is he a difference maker? And it depends on the position. Again, I want versatile players, but where is he going to make a difference? Is this the guy that's going to come in and start for me right away? Or is this someone that you think his best baseball is really ahead of him, but the way he works, he's going to win a spot? It depends on the position. I have a disability where I can't help but recruit big bats. I want a lineup of guys that absolutely mash, but it hurt our defense and kept us out of deeper runs into the playoffs. So I am looking for a more complete player that can show me they have two tools and they're going to add a third and a fourth over the next 2 years. Because if he's a 5-tool player, he's looking at Rutgers. He's not looking at Catholic. So I usually highlight the positions I'm recruiting, and depending on those positions, where their strengths are. So I'm not looking at a shortstop that's really slow. I'm not looking at a first baseman that can't hit. And I'm looking at one of the biggest makeup positions for me is behind the plate. What is the catcher like controlling a game? What is this catcher like laterally? Not just what his pop time is, because pop times are at the risk of the guy running the stopwatch. What's he like laterally? How's he receiving? Because stealing the strike is everything. And then on the mound, I gave the velos before, but I've taken guys on both ends of that spectrum. Austin Nappy from Red Bank Catholic was an all-state of New Jersey pitcher that threw submarine between 72 and 74 miles per hour and has struggled here at the college level because he's got to reinvent himself a little bit and figure out ways to locate. But I've also had projects that have thrown very hard and really had to stress, hey, maybe take a little bit off here to locate. But for pitchers, a lot of times it's where they play, who they're facing, and how they've developed over these next couple of years. But we're looking at projectability because, as I said, at Division III, our process is a little bit longer. I don't have any offers out to 2021s. I'm still finishing my 2020s right now. So once we finish this recruiting cycle here by May 1st, that's when I focus on the 2021s.
Matty, good for you, Matt?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome, Matt. It's really been exciting recruiting home. When my parents still lived in Atlantic Highlands, I use it as a way to get some good cooking. Now with them living up in Weehawken in Ocean City, New Jersey, got a big gap in between. But there's not a day that doesn't go by where I check app.com or nj.com and find out how everybody's doing. It's one of those things where I don't want to see a New Jersey Division III baseball player that I didn't talk to, specifically a Monmouth County or an Ocean County kid going to a rival school and doing very well. And we've had guys go to rival schools. I'm not even going to say their names because they're in my conference, but have gone and done well. But what I'd say about Catholic and Monmouth County is, for me, since I've been there, it's been like our little home away from home, in that there's always a ride home. There's always someone else going on the same train, someone else going on the same bus. Everyone's a Yankee, Met fan, Jet, Giant. It is our home away from home down here. I do think it's really funny that I vividly remember Billy Rue from Homedale hitting with Brian before me and winding up playing for the same head coach. And now Billy and I are at a bunch of alumni functions every now and then together.
How is Billy doing? What is he in? Insurance?
Insurance, yep.
Yeah.
He's doing well. Family's good. Chris and I played against each other from the time we were 12. We stole him to Middletown Babe Ruth for 2 years. Dean Sadecki running schemes back in those days, Middletown Babe Ruth.
That's great.
Myself included. I was playing BYAA for years, and all of a sudden Middletown Babe Ruth calls and says, let's go win state. And we were pretty good. But I really do. APP.com, All Shore Media. I don't know if the All Shore Media guys know me well, but I'm on their stuff all the time, checking in on everybody. I mean, NJ.com came out with that article, those articles last week about New Jersey players we wish we could watch right now. And I wrote down the name of every 2021 on that list. I don't care how good they are. Like, I'm going to reach out to them because we're still in one of the better baseball states in the country. I have to recruit Texas, California, and Florida because I'm in a school that recruits nationally. But look at the majority of our roster and see where guys are from.
Speaking of the roster, Bobby,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been bringing up Monmouth County guys, or whether it be Monmouth or Ocean County guys, but through the years you've had guys from various high schools in Monmouth County, and right now on the roster, I know you have you got SJV, you got Brandon Martin, you have
Lights out.
Sid Porter. Right now with the seniors, what's the situation as far as for the seniors with this going on now, and their eligibility, whether it be any academic money going into grad school and being eligible to still come back for another year?
So I'm fortunately unfortunate with this senior class. This senior class, they all have jobs lined up, and they're going to a better law school. Our leadoff hitter, Connor Sullivan from Long Island, is going to Boston College Law School. All of these guys could play one more year if they pursued a grad program at Catholic, but the majority of them already have engineering, architecture, or tech jobs waiting for them. They are an incredible class of kids that have done it the right way for 4 years. They are the type of kids, Sid Porter being one of them. Sid Porter still, a CBA kid from Middletown, still packs the bus. A senior takes a laundry basket, puts all the buckets in, and wheels it out to the bus every game. I've never had a college senior in my 8 years of coaching college baseball remotely come close to that. But this is a senior class that's got some great jobs after, and I hope they make a lot of money and donate back to the program. But that doesn't mean that I'm not recruiting some Division I athletes who are looking at Catholic law or a master's from Catholic U, and there are some other Division III players also who've reached out. So my current senior class is actually all graduating on time, all employed or pursuing a secondary degree. So while their baseball careers are over, the best is yet to come for them career-wise. The focus for me these last couple of weeks has been introducing the master's programs to some of our younger players, because any baseball player, unless a school mandates otherwise, has a year of eligibility left. And there's a number of juniors, sophomores, and freshmen that I would love to pursue a fifth year at Catholic. Do I think a couple of them have some Division I aspirations? Yes, but I hope by the time they get to that age, they are loyal enough to the program where they'll stay. But it's a new type of recruiting for us.
Let me ask you about this incoming class.
Mm-hmm.
Any Monmouth County guys coming in.
Yep. Yes, we got Ryan O'Keefe from Manasquan, big lefty. And then we have Colin Turner from Brick also coming in. Colin played for the Niners, and Ryan I actually only saw play for Manasquan High School. Because, guys, we have a school, again, I'm not talking about any other schools in my conference. I won't do that. But there's a New Jersey school in our conference that when we play them, I drive my car, usually Friday morning, and I'll go watch whatever games are going on Friday, and I'll stay with my parents on Sunday night, and then go watch practices or games on Monday. I've seen 3 guys on my roster at a practice because you never know who's watching. I'll call a high school coach, Morgan at St. John Vianney. I said I wanted to see Brendan Martin. Saw Brendan Martin that way. Sid Porter, CBA, undersized center fielder. Delatry and Materano got all the headlines that year, but there had to be somebody on in front of them. and Sid was that guy, but he was undersized and a little bit slower than Division I center fielders. And this was a 4-year starter for us that, again, changed our program because of how he went about it every day. Brendan Martin is a fun one in that Morgan from St. John Vianney and Chris Lamore sent me a text and asked me what I was doing the second week of December and said that they were working out and there was a bullpen being thrown. And I drove from DC to the bubble at SJV. He threw a pen, talked to him after. First question I asked him, what are your grades like? Do you have your transcripts on you? I said, if the transcript checks out and you get some academic money, can we make this work? And drove back to DC that night. And this is someone, Brendan Martin, who did not throw harder than 82 miles per hour. But we're hoping that he's another one of these guys that was very effective all season for us this year, who was 80 to 83, but I think he's going to be an 83 to 86 guy in a year.
Yeah, he's turned the corner. He's a kid who now really is wanting to work to get better at it.
He started out as a catcher. And again, for the 7th and 8th graders on this call, guys, play a ton of positions. I played middle school baseball at St. Agnes, and we were so bad that I actually did get to play first base in 8th grade. But I knew I had to work on the outfield thing. So if you're a middle school shortstop right now, you're doing yourself a disservice if you're not taking fly balls in center field. And lefty pitcher, if you can still swing it a little bit, don't fall in love with becoming a pitcher only. Still get out in the outfield and play a little bit and keep hitting until they take that bat away from you.
I go back to Sid Porter. I saw Sid Porter as a young guy. He probably was in the 8th grade and going from 8th, 9th, 10th grade into CBA. And I believe Brian Kernan, he probably knows the same situation as what I'm going to bring up. Like Sid Porter for me goes as one of the only I'll say players who at a indoor training facility in the winter. And at the time I saw Sid within a full year at 3 different facilities where his mother would pay for the cage area he was going to use and leave. He didn't have a coach with him. He would be in full gear. He'd work on his catching drills. Back then, he was a catcher.
He's still the emergency catcher.
Yeah, the kid would hit off the tee. He'd get all his work in on his own at a facility. And I saw him at the Cage in Hazlitt at the previous location when the guys were over there. This goes back a bunch of years, obviously, when Sid was probably like in 10th grade or so, 9th or 10th grade. And Frozen Ropes over in Tinton Falls, and one other place, might have been the Red Bank place. And this kid would just show up wherever there was an empty cage on that given night and just work his butt off, and he didn't need a team. He didn't need a practice with a whole bunch of guys. He didn't need a private instructor, and he may have taken lessons from a private instructor, but these were on days where he knew he could still get working, so that's a kid who worked his butt off to get to where he's gotten to. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's successful in life in whatever he does,
Yeah, he's working in Hoboken next year for an architecture engineering firm. And guys, with Sid, he's someone that probably, if you asked him, thought he should have played more in college. But we platoon guys. Again, we have a big roster, and there were certain pitchers I thought that would really challenge Sid. So Sid would usually start 2 of 3 games on a conference weekend until this year, or his junior year, where his defense had to be out there every single game. We're hoping that Tommy Antonucci from Manasquan can do the same thing for us. Tommy's playing football and baseball. I hope he continues doing both, but if he just focused on baseball, I'd be okay with that too. But we're hoping that guys understand development at our level. I get it in the recruiting process. You're going to hear from some Division III coaches about you making an immediate impact. That immediate impact's still going to rely on your own shoulders and how much better you want to get. These early commitments sometimes lead to complacency. So as soon as someone verbally commits on Twitter, which please, Jersey Giants, please, 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 before you commit on Twitter, call the coach that recruited you and tell them you're committing. And then also call the other coaches that were recruiting you and tell them that you're committing. Don't let me find out on Twitter as the means of communication of today's youth, or Instagram, that's how you're committing that. I'm sorry to get off topic there, but I watched it happen 2 days ago. A kid I spent a ton of time with felt the need to put it out there before he let us know. But it's going to be one of those things where, guys, how much better can you get? So once you wear the sweatshirt on signing day, show me that you're going to be a better ball player than when I recruited you. Again, don't just be a good ball player from the end of junior spring to that next year. Show me that you got better over that summer. There's a graduation party every weekend. I get it. You need some downtime in that summer going into college, but be ready when the bell rings in the fall.
I'm gonna call on David Larson.
Okay.
He's one of our players who's a middle school guy, and he usually comes up with a good question, and especially being a younger guy. So David, go ahead.
So I don't really have a question right now, but I just does it change anything when you're homeschooled?
No, not at all. We have had 2 homeschool players in my 8 years at Catholic. Players play. That's what I see. And, when the homeschool athletes that we've had, yes, there can be some adjustments to dorm and campus life. But when it comes to having to be worried about them doing their homework and getting their schoolwork done and being at practice and giving all out effort, that I've had no issue.
Bobby, you talk about that adjustment, it's obviously it's an adjustment for any student athlete, male or female, to be away from home, be away from their parents. Not that everybody is entitled and their parents do every single little thing for them, but you're in routines. You're used to being loved and cared for by your parents, and then you're gone off, and you're obviously 3.5, let's say, hours away on a good day, right, from where we are, right, from where we are in the nation's capital. It's not too far in any way. Obviously, we've had guys that are on this call. I'm saying to you guys, we've had a ton of Monmouth County and Ocean County, but a ton of Monmouth County players. I don't want you to have to name them all, Bobby. You might forget somebody, but I remember you had a shortstop from Ocean Township a few years back.
Nick Clary.
Nick Clary, thank you. But you've had there's been a lot of guys, and yourself included, there's been a lot of guys, and Billy Rue obviously was there's been a lot of guys that have gone to Catholic, whether it be for the academics, or they also went for the academics and able to be on a sports team, whether it's male or female.
Right.
That getting away from home, that not being around your parents, that first go around, that first fall, it's got to be different on any student who isn't, within an hour, underneath an hour away from 45 minutes away from their house. That's got to be a little bit of an adjustment, for guys. And if anything, for our guys, they don't really, I love when guys are able to go spend some time somewhere else without their parents, when
right.
they're in their sophomore, junior, senior year, that they just get away and go spend some time and know what it's like to be away for a little bit,
For the players, guys, none of you have the checkbook. So understand that this is a family decision. The first financial conversation, this goes for your 7th and 8th graders. The first financial conversation I ever had with my parents was in 8th grade. And I was looking at a certain school on Middletown Lancroft Road that charges a really steep tuition. And someone on this phone call asked me if I wanted to be a 3-year starter on varsity or have to battle, and who knows what's going to happen. And I still remember that advice, and that was huge advice also because my parents sat me down and explained to me the cost of high school tuition. And I remember the number. My father said it was $10,000 a year, and said that's $10,000 a year less than we can spend on college. And then I mentioned the 3 schools I looked at in the college process. I loved Washington and Lee. I know I talked about the smell before, but another financial conversation came up was that I got significantly more scholarship money at Catholic than I did Washington and Lee. So that factored into it. So you have to involve your parents, guys, in a polite, correct way when it comes to affording this. But one of my biggest pet peeves as a coach is if you reach out to me, I shouldn't be getting an email from a JP Morgan or a Caldwell Banker or Weichert Realtors. Like I want the email to come from you at gmail.com or at your school's email address. Get used to using, if your high school uses an email platform, use it, because that's what you're going to do in college. But the email and the communication needs to come from you. Mom and dad think you are the best baseball player in the world, and that's because they're great parents. They love you. They want the best for you, but I need to communicate with you. Yes, the decision is heavily financial. It's going to be more so than ever. So you have to work with them on that, but you have to ask yourself some questions. Is this the place that I can wake up at early? Is this a place that I can get better? Is this a place you want to be? Because you don't want to waste their money. If they tell you can go to any school you want to, you really owe it to them to find out where you want to go.
Bobby, here's something too. I know that goes on, in New Jersey, the NJAC, the NJAC, I could be wrong about this, what I'm saying, but I don't believe any school in the NJAC is a private school.
No.
Yeah. So, in New Jersey, in the NJAC especially, you get a lot of, and I say a lot, let's say it's maybe one player, or position player, or pitcher a year on the average. I don't know. My numbers can be skewed somewhat from being one player or a couple. But, after a fall or a fall and a spring in Division I baseball, and it doesn't work out for that baseball player, pitcher, position player, he ends up transferring to a Division III. Sometimes they end up transferring to junior college, obviously, but in the case of Division III, how often does that happen with you guys, that you might get a player in, sophomore year, or, a transfer student?
It hasn't happened a lot for us, and a lot has to do with the cost of tuition being steep at Catholic, and I can't hide that from you guys. It is $55,000 a year. It's a very expensive college. So on the transfer side, that usually means not all the credits are going to transfer correctly. So you have to do a fifth year. Now, if it's someone that it works out, it works out. Like, we have one transfer. We have one on the roster right now who came from Division II, dropped down to Division III, and we're going to have a Division I pitcher drop down for his grad school this fall. But it's a very common thing at the Division III level, and some of the best Division III teams in the country have it, where you can play right away. I mean, I've watched Division I players at a school in our conference who were at UMass in the fall and showed up in Pennsylvania in the spring. So you can play right away. There's no rules about sitting out. And a lot of Division IIIs are on the phone with Division Is in the area saying, hey, if this kid's not going to play or not make the team, I'm sure NJAC schools are on the phone with Rutgers or on the phone with FDU, finding out what the scoop is. Guys, with that, the transfer rate right now is because guys are picking schools for the wrong reason. They're picking schools because of senior day in high school or senior signing day in high school and not graduation day in college, because ultimately it's the degree that goes on the wall right next to the jersey, framed nicely. We do that for our guys, but we always leave room for their diploma as well, because that's really what matters. Don't pick your school based on signing day in high school. That's for guys who are totally okay with high school being it for them. But if a true college baseball player is going to pick the place that is going to develop him, and he's going to help a team win, and most importantly, he's going to get a degree that gets him a job after. Again, this senior class, I'm so frustrated for them because they were going to graduate with the most wins in program history. They had a chance to win the most conference championships, most wins. And honestly, this year, the way things were going to shape up, I thought we'd make a real nice run late into postseason. And I wanted that for them, because that's the stuff that people on the outside see. But this senior class was such a total package that they all have jobs. Again, it's one of my favorite, but least favorite things to talk about right now, is because I'm going to miss them as a baseball coach and wish they could all come back for another year. And all of our incoming freshmen, I told them, if any of these seniors want to come back, you should consider yourself very lucky to learn from this group. But I'm really bummed that they didn't get to show on the field a little bit more because of everything that's gone on. But how we've talked about that with them as guys. It's going on everywhere. It's going on to everyone. Don't waste time feeling sorry for yourself, for your preseason, for your high school season. What are you doing tonight, tomorrow, with some free time to get better?
I want to talk to you a little bit about the academic side on scholarships, because we know in Division III there are no athletic scholarships that are awarded, but there are academic scholarships that an institution, academic monies obviously going to an athlete, that an institution can choose to give a certain dollar amount. And so you just said Catholic University is about 55,000, somewhere around that number, right? So what would it take just on the general to get in, meaning the GPA or SAT? What's just for a student, whether he's an athlete or not? What's the norm for the acceptance at Catholic?
I wish that admissions cared about exit velo and velocity off the mound and their 60 time. They don't. First, the majority of our team, and that's so to get into Catholic, you'd need a 3.3 to a 3.4. The majority of baseball players that I recruit, I really try and look at a 3.4 or higher every single time. That's because that 3.4 gets recalculated by our admissions group, and usually results in $15,000 to $20,000. If you get over a 3.5, there's a good chance you're going to be higher than that in academic scholarship, and that's when things start to get a little more affordable. But again, I'm looking for. I tell everyone 3.5. I know what it takes to get into school, but what I'm looking for are guys that are really busting it in the classroom. You can be a tremendous test taker, and if you are, take it and crush it. But show me the guy that's going to do it every day in every one of their classes, because that's where the most money is going to come from. So I look for 3.5s and higher.
Let's say I'm a student athlete and I have a 3.8 GPA and I'm fortunate to have a 1,200 on my SATs. Is there a chance that the university, Catholic University, is going to award me some type of academic monies, anywhere between 5,000, 10,000, something like that, or even better,
Jay, if you applied in this current class with a 3.8 and a 1,200 on your SAT, you'd be looking in the $23,000 to $25,000 scholarship range.
Right.
Now, what I mean by a 3.8, though, guys, is that's a 3.8 in your core classes. So the harder your classes, that's where we weigh things in your weight. Like we're going to look at weighted GPA. We look at the unweighted. So yes, your weighted GPA is going to be a 4.2 or 4.0. We're going to recalculate based on your core classes. So we're not really giving a ton of weight to volleyball. We're giving a lot more weight to your AP US history.
So on my end, having an organization and trying to catch up with the times from one month to the next, and just staying on top of it. So when I have my guys do their profile, which a lot of them are sending it in now as we get ready for the summer, with GPA, for them now, freshmen, for them it's difficult right now. They're only in, they haven't even finished a year yet. But our juniors, absolutely, when they give me their GPA, whether it be me or them, we have to make sure we're connected on that this is the core GPA, and it's those 13 core courses.
Right.
Into senior year, it would be, all of those, and where they are with that. So we're getting the correct number. The NCAA Eligibility Center doesn't apply, right, in Division III.
Division III.
Right.
Which is funny given that in Division III you've got Caltech, MIT, some of the best schools in the country. I mention MIT because people joke all the time about schools like that. MIT has had 3 draft picks in the last 5 years. These guys can absolutely play because Division III is home to some of the best schools in the country academically, and it's a really unique environment. But don't let the label make you think it's less less baseball.
Yeah, I mean, you got Johns Hopkins is up the road, not far from you guys there, and that's
Yeah, they are. They unfortunately, with the way things work out regionally, are going to be the roadblock for a lot of us these next couple of years, because it's a tremendous school. But if you don't have a 1500, and they wouldn't be mad at me for saying this on this call, if you don't have a 1500 or a 32 on the ACT, you're probably not getting in.
Right.
So they're doing a great job with some of the smartest kids in the country, but they'll be very open about that. And good coaches are, guys. I said this before. Just because you have a 3.3 or 3.4 doesn't mean we're not going to talk. I mean, you having a 2.5, the conversation will be short. But again, show me that you're a lot of times our school will look at grades all the way through someone's senior year before they make final merit decisions. I know we're doing it right now because we have guys that said, I'm at a 3.4 or 3.5 right now, but I'm really busting it and I'm really not getting senioritis. Because that's a challenge for us guys, spring athletes, that could have their best seasons their senior year when going to keep up with everybody else that commits too early. Guys forget about their schoolwork. It's very easy, and I use our home, and I talk about home with you guys because talking to you guys, it's home. It's very easy on the shore to forget what got you to this point academically, where you're so focused on baseball, and you should be. You got the MCT, the short conference tournament, the state tournament. You got the month of June. Then it's graduation. Then it's graduation parties. It's really easy to throw away all those good habits that got you where you need to be. So the focus for the older guys in this group, read more. And what I mean by that is I'm not going to assign reading, but there's so many good books out there that if you find a subject matter you like, read it. Or if you just like reading ESPN.com every day, read the 7 stories on the right-hand side or down below every day, because a challenge for you guys after spring senior year of high school baseball, summer travel, or summer college, summer league, and graduation parties is that you haven't read it enough. And then you're thrown into a college environment. We got to read all the time. And 7th and 8th graders, I'm not forgetting about you guys, because just because it's summer reading doesn't mean you're not going to do it. Get your summer reading done, but find something you also like to read.
If you could give these guys a top 5 most important, what they should, whether it be ask a college coach or look at on a college website, and this may not even be baseball related, look at on a college website or on a college campus. Like, what are your top 5 things?
First and foremost, location, where you want to go to school. Be realistic. If you tell yourself you want to go to school in California, you got to do the research on it. So then you look at, and I'll use that as the example. You're going to look at schools in California. You're going to look on their website to see, are the majority of the people at this California school all from the state of California? Do they recruit out of state? So you look at a roster, you see where players are from. So I'd say location, roster, and then, as I said, academic requirements. Be realistic with yourself. I knew I couldn't get into MIT, so I wasn't looking at MIT. I wasn't looking at Johns Hopkins. I wasn't looking at the Ivies. My grades weren't good enough. But I knew my grades were that's that third one. Fourth, this is where cost has to come in and have that conversation with your parents. And then fifth, is going to be the baseball program, and this is where your coaches come into play, is what they know about the program, and how their first phone call with that coach went. Because, guys, you're playing for coaches who have no problem reaching out to college coaches. They've done it. They've worked with guys. As I said, this is my 25th year knowing 2 guys in this chat, and I hope to one day know a third of what they know. But communicate with your travel and high school coaches about what they know about playing baseball or that institution as a whole, what they know about the coach. While I'm on the coach topic, I've had a handful of guys be rude to Division III assistants who wind up becoming Division I assistants or Division I head coaches, and they never forget a name and they never forget a face. So when a school takes the time to reach out to you, respond, because it's the players that don't show that respect that wind up weeding themselves out a little bit.
Bobby, I can't thank you enough. I mean, this has been an hour. We've been on a little bit over an hour. You know, we got started with some great questions, and you took us through this. It's been outstanding. Now, I want Coach Kernan to jump on. His microphone's on. Let him say his goodbyes to you and all of us, too. It's been great, buddy. It's been great. Brian, go ahead, Brian.
Bobby, it's been great seeing you again, my friend. You're doing a great job there at Catholic. I can't be more proud of you.
Wouldn't be here without you, BK.
Well done, kid.
Thank you. And best to the whole family.
Tell mom and dad I said hi.
I will. My dad will be so happy to hear from it.
Awesome, Bobby. Good luck down there, buddy. And
thank you.
I'm definitely going to stay in touch now. I got your number still, I think. So if
yeah,
not,
hasn't changed. Looking forward to seeing all you guys this summer. And again, to Coach Blackwell, guy gave my first job in the restaurant industry and a whole lot of other things. First 7 years old at Fun Time America. I still remember the workout to this day. So Jersey Giants, looking forward to seeing you guys this summer. Continue to represent a great organization well on and off the field. Be good to your parents, and really look forward to seeing you all.
Bobby, thank you so much. And please say hello at home. Be safe.
I will.
Okay.
You guys.
Billy, our producer, Billy, he'll unmute everybody, and I know the guys will wish you luck and say goodbye. So go ahead, fellas. Thanks, Bobby.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach. Good luck.
See you guys.
Coach.